Welcome to the Pro Wrestling Report Primetime TV for December 28th, 2013. This week we look back at the year in wrestling and bring you this week's TV highs and lows along with the event center. All that and more right here, right now on Primetime TV.
Thanks, Linda. Welcome to the Pro Wrestling Report Primetime Saturday night. Damian Nelson sitting alongside David Octavius at Tiberius, the alleged backyard one-time knockout, straight edge, hardcore, divas, Hall of Famer hero. How are you here on this New Year's Eve weekend?
You know what? I'm tremendous. The year's almost, what a year it's been, too. I hate to see it go. He's always good to me.
Did he make it down this year? Because there was that incident last year. Cops had to come, fire department.
Well, yeah, because you thought you were going to be cute and dress up as Santa and try to come down my chimney.
As we look back here on the final episode of the PWR Primetime on Month 24, as we look back on 2013, there is so much to talk about. And we thought it would be good to take a look back at what this year brought us in professional wrestling. So sit down and buckle up. And David, I'd love to hear your thoughts as we go through this long list of things. Let's go all the way back to last January at the Royal Rumble, where John Cena won the Royal Rumble match, which of course led to that rematch with The Rock at WrestleMania, but this time for the WWE Championship. You know, I had forgotten that John Cena won the Rumble last year.
How could you forget that?
It was so expected.
He went on to face The Rock.
Everything from January through WrestleMania last year was so easy to project and predict from WWE. Not that it was a bad thing, but there were no surprises. So everything was expected. So nothing really stuck because they were only on that journey to get The Rock and Cena too.
Yes, they were. And there was a lot of Jameson involved that entire time for you as well.
Big match at WrestleMania where John Cena beat The Rock and retained the WWE Championship, or took the WWE Championship.
We were there. We were in New York.
In New York in MetLife Stadium, Statue of Liberty above the ring. That night, special, of course, that match. Better than anyone would have expected it to be, especially with John Cena getting the win.
Well, John Cena, he was going to get the win. He beat The Rock at WrestleMania to become the WWE Champion. That match, number 2, was actually bigger than the first one because the title was involved.
From there, we went on to the night after WrestleMania, where Dolph Ziggler cashed in his Money in the Bank briefcase to become the new World Heavyweight Champion. A moment that is still vividly etched in my mind as one of the greatest of 2013.
Well, and that was great simply because of that hot crowd. I mean, they were all over it.
They wanted Ziggler.
They wanted Ziggler bad. The roof blew off the place. Unfortunately, Dolph Z didn't have enough gas in his tank to get him any further than that.
Well, he did, but however, weeks later, he would suffer a concussion, which took him out of action for several weeks. In his return matchup and a rematch with Alberto Del Rio, he would lose the championship in what was as important a career moment for Ziggler as winning the World Heavyweight Championship, because that was a great story that was told with Alberto Del Rio kicking Dolph Ziggler's head all around, I believe it was Payback in Chicago, all around that arena that night.
It was a great match. It told a great story, and that was the way to beat Dolph Ziggler. It was a very risky match for a story to be told, because one of those kicks goes the wrong way. Just ask what happens when Jack Swagger does that. You know, he could put someone on the shelf for a week or two. But, you know, great story was told. Unfortunately, the career of Dolph Ziggler changed after that.
We also saw a feud between John Cena and Ryback for a good portion of the year, which actually led to some great matches between the two. Who knew?
You thought they were great matches?
For what? We talked about expectations earlier.
Yeah, well, don't have any.
These two delivered. Come on, Dave. Let's not knock it. When John Cena wants to deliver, and when he needs to deliver, he does deliver. Ryback was brought up to, or did step up to, the plate in those matchups as well. That was the ambulance match. Remember that?
Of course.
I believe they had a hardcore match.
It wasn't a bell ambulance.
It wasn't written on the side.
No, it was not, and it didn't fall apart.
I think they just went for a ride.
It fell apart. Good God Almighty! I mean, those matches were two big guys beating each other up.
I
don't know if Ryback was ready, but obviously they wanted Ryback there. I mean, Ryback was a solid babyface.
Solid.
He was drawing money as a babyface, selling merchandise as a babyface. You turn him heel, killed him.
There were no heels for Cena at the time, though.
Don't make him a heel. He was the wrong guy to turn.
2013 could also be described as the year of the GOAT, that being Daniel Bryan, who would win the WWE Championship only to lose it, and then for us, the fans, to be told he was a quote-unquote B+ talent at best. The rise and fall of Daniel Bryan happened several times over the course of the year, but there is no denying that Daniel Bryan is currently a bona fide star in WWE.
A B+ is still the honor roll. I would have been very happy with a B+.
Who'd you go to? Oh,
Grafton Public Schools, please.
Public, that's the problem.
Oh.
No offense to any of our public school teachers out there.
Yeah, and a lot of them watch the show. How rude. It's the holiday season. Throw a little cheer once in a while.
I forgot you went to a suburban public school. You get many more resources than the cities.
Yes, we do. We deserve them.
Daniel Bryan.
Mm-hmm. Daniel Bryan, I mean, one of the best talents in wrestling. Uh-huh. He reminds me of Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. How great was Ricky the Dragon Steamboat?
Before always spit in green mist?
Always had match of the night. Always had match of the night. Had the match of the year with the Macho Man Randy Savage. Yeah. But never had the big championship. Never got there.
Well, Daniel Bryan did get there, though.
He did, but for how long?
Briefly.
I mean, he had it longer when he cashed in and beat the Big Show, when he won Money in the Bank. Mm-hmm. But since then, his title reigns have been very short.
Over in TNA Impact Wrestling, it was a year that can only be described as tumultuous. From the rumors of the company nearing bankruptcy to being sold, they seemingly could not find a solid ground to stand on. They released talents, they went on the road, they cut pay, they were late paying talents, they even released Hulk Hogan.
No, his contract expired. He wasn't released. He quit.
They even chose not to renew Hulk Hogan's contract. TNA had a rough year, Dave.
They've had a rough year for a while, but it's now all finally leaking out and getting out as far as the news. I hope they turn it around, but...
Well, I think at the end of the day, though, this is all positive for TNA.
How?
Well, they've trimmed their payroll. They're running back on a business model that may lead them back to profitability. I think that they've taken some hard steps. They've lost some good talents. They've gotten rid of some overpaid talents.
I don't think they've lost any good talents.
AJ Styles?
He is an exception. He's a phenomenal talent, and I like AJ Styles. But did you ever change the channel when there was an AJ Styles match on?
There was a time I did. Well, you're talking about to and from.
If AJ was on TNA Impact Wrestling, did you ever change a channel?
While he's wrestling?
Yeah.
No, of course not.
You liar. We've all done it.
I don't watch it with you. You don't know. Have you ever changed a channel when Randy Orton was on?
Absolutely.
When John Cena was on?
Absolutely.
When Alicia Fox was on?
Never. I love Alicia Fox.
2013 was overall a tough year for professional wrestling. Fewer people are watching, there are fewer marketable stars, and the industry has no buzz at this point. There is promise, though. TNA is producing some of its best television ever, and if they continue, perhaps they can indeed be a viable competitor to WWE.
There was some buzz this past week on TMZ.
Oh, the twerking?
Robbie E. was twerking on TMZ.
With?
Brooke.
Tessmacher.
Yeah, Brooke. How about that?
How about Brooke on Impact this past Thursday night, by the way?
Brooke is some
music and such?
She's something.
She wants Bully Ray back.
I guess.
WWE has invested in several new talents who could break out in 2014 and give us a new era of stars if they want them to. And that will be the challenge. Will WWE actually give the fans what they desire, or will they continue to take the safest road that always leads to John Cena, Randy Orton, and even another nostalgia-based WrestleMania?
I can see EC3 being a breakout star for TNA Impact Wrestling.
Is he not already?
He's getting there.
What about Rockstar Spud?
He's interesting. Don't know if he's a breakout star, but he's interesting.
Only time will tell, folks. That's 2013, at least so far. And now it's time to, we're going to take a time out, David Hero.
Well, I think so.
We're
I
talking
need a
about this
drink.
week's TV highs. Right after this on the Pro Wrestling Report Primetime.
Promotional consideration paid for by the following.
Who do you trust when selling your gold, silver, and diamonds? Robert Hack Diamonds was secret shopped by the media, and they found out that Robert Hack Diamonds offer the most for their jewelry. At Robert Hack Diamonds, we'll treat you like family. Shop around before you sell. If we can't compete a competitor's offer on your scrap gold, we'll give you $20 just for trying.
Bring your gold, I will get you some money.
Robert Hack Diamonds is located at 76 and Layton in Greenfield, and our newest location on the corner of Green Tree and Port Washington Road in Glendale.
Pittsburgh, Pittsburgh, Pittsburgh. PWR is coming for a huge Royal Rumble kickoff party featuring Big Sexy Kevin Nash. That's right, the night before the WWE Royal Rumble in Pittsburgh, come to PWR's kickoff party featuring all kinds of shenanigans and big sexy Kevin Nash. Tickets available right now at PWRshow.com. PWRshow.com, the Royal Rumble kickoff party comes to Pittsburgh.
Share your comments on tonight's stories by following along on Twitter using the hashtag PWRTV, and Damien and Dave will interact with you during the broadcast. Coming up after the break, we take a look at the highlights from the week in wrestling TV right here on My 24 Milwaukee.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Pro Wrestling Report, primetime Saturday night. Damian Nelson sitting here alongside David Hero. David, what are your plans for New Year's coming up on Tuesday?
You know,
I'm going out. You backing it up?
Actually,
I'll be down on Brady Street.
I'm leaving to go out east.
Are you?
Yes.
Really? Out east where?
And then
Halifax?
No, it's going to be Poughkeepsie and Lowell, Massachusetts. I'll be out there. I'll be out there.
No, wait a minute. You're going to Poughkeepsie?
Yeah.
And Lowell.
Yeah.
For New Year's.
Well, no, not New. I'll be back on New Year's Eve.
Then the question I asked you was, what are you doing for New Year's?
Well, that's none of your business.
Let's go to this week's TV highs, ladies and gentlemen.
My New Year's Eve. What are you going to do on New Year's Eve?
I'll be in Las Vegas, Nevada, on top of the stratosphere.
Yeah, you'll be on top of something on the stratosphere. Watching those balls drop.
This week's TV highs, ladies and gentlemen. Speaking of balls, disco balls were in order when Fandango defeated Dolph Ziggler on Raw this past Monday night in a Christmas gift on a pole match to earn a shot at Big E Langston's Intercontinental Championship on next week's Raw. Here's the good about it. Here's the highlight about it. They're making the Intercontinental Championship seem more important. There's been a lot of number one contender talk, a lot of action, a lot of shine being put on the fact that Big E Langston is that champion. But did it take a Christmas gift on a pole match to make this happen? And is Fandango that guy?
When you have two good talents like Fandango and Dolph Ziggler, where they have to do another gimmick match like it was Dolph Ziggler and Damien Sandow previous, I don't get it. Are the fans that uninterested in those two talents that you now need a distraction around them to try to improve the product?
Well, I mean, it was the Christmas-themed episode of Raw. We'll talk about that later on in the program. But we did see some non-on-a-pole match action this past Monday on Raw, including the Wyatts defeating the Broads along with Daniel Bryan. Good thing about this, more great tag team action and more on the Wyatt.
I don't understand, though, why the Broads brothers keeps losing all these non-title matches.
Last week they lost to Big Show and Rey Mysterio. And maybe it's setting something up for the Rumble. Don't know. But I still think down the road here, David Hero, come WrestleMania 30, New Orleans, Louisiana, in the Bayou, Crescent City.
Which will be there.
It will be Cody Rhodes versus Goldust.
I don't think so.
That match needs to happen.
I don't think it does.
Why not?
I don't think the fans want to see that happen anymore.
Yes, they do. Well,
I don't.
WWE's got to get us there. And they can get us there in the current tag team situation.
Goldust is loved too much to turn heel.
And Cody is?
Too much of a young star that they need as a babyface. I just don't see it happening anymore.
It's a nostalgia act, remember?
I don't see it happening.
Well, big news.
And I've been mistaken before.
Yeah, just a few minutes ago. Big news on Impact this past Thursday night as Jeff Hardy actually quits and walks out after losing a handicap match to the Bromans, Rockstar Spud, and Ethan Carter III.
You know, and you ripped the Bromans a couple weeks ago, saying that they were not a deserving TNA Impact Tag Team Champions. They just defeated.
Apparently I said that.
They defeated the charismatic enigma Jeff Hardy. That's a big victory.
They, 1, 2, 3, 4 people defeated Jeff Hardy.
Rockstar Spud doesn't count. He doesn't. He's a manager.
The story here, though, is Jeff Hardy.
Yes.
What's next for Jeff Hardy
He's
in
taking
Impact
some
Wrestling?
time off.
Really?
He needs to, yeah.
The story has been he's let the fans down. Dixie Carter saying last week, no, the fans let you down, blah, 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 blah. He loses to Magnus last week, doesn't get the TNA World Heavyweight Championship. This week, he
What is wrong with
loses
Kurt
and walks
Angle and
out.
Jeff Hardy? They both now have to prove everything to the fans. Their career should prove enough how much they've done. Kurt Angle
Can't rest on your laurels.
Yeah, sometimes you can. Depends how big your laurels are.
So how long might we be without Jeff Hardy on Impact Wrestling?
A month.
Maybe he's gone.
A month or so.
Talked about contracts, talked about stuff earlier on.
He's coming back.
Maybe he's coming back somewhere else.
I don't see that happening. I really don't.
You don't think Jeff Hardy would ever be
Jeff
welcome
Hardy,
back in WWE?
of course he is, but Jeff Hardy's the only guy that draws any money in TNA Impact Wrestling.
That's this week's TV Highs, ladies and gentlemen.
Why do you gotta crick your neck like that? You
Move
know
on
it's
to
true.
find out who you've selected as this week's Diamond of the Ring. David Harrell, take it away.
This week's Robert Hack Diamond of the Ring is the Good Santa. Yes, sexual chocolate Mark Henry decides to get all Santa'd up and defeats the evil claw's Damian Sandow to save Christmas. Yes, Mark Henry is this week's Robert Hack Diamond of the Week, the place where they pay cash for gold.
Mark Henry.
Mark Henry, he saved Christmas.
What does Megyn Kelly think about Mark Henry playing that role last week on Raw?
It was a character. He was playing a character.
So she was rooting for Sandow.
I bring up Fox News, and all of a sudden it's a freaking snowstorm here last week. This time...
Speaking of which, Al Snow's latest picture in you and his Twitter war?
Yeah.
You may as well give up. You may as well do this.
Are you kidding
Tap
me?
out. Yeah, you're done. By the way, he's 10 years older than you.
Yes, he is 10 years older than me.
I'm sorry to be the bearer of bad news.
You know, you and Cal, every week, oh, Dad, Uncle Al beat you. He didn't post a picture.
You know what you need to
Doesn't make
wait
a
for, though?
difference. Please tell me what.
Once these things get cranked up and people start seeing all this action,
How are you going to crank them up?
I have some supplements.
Okay.
Legal supplements, ladies and gentlemen, coming to you from GNC and Vitamin World.
Vitamin World. There you go.
With that, good choice, Mark Henry. Let's go to the Event Center. Linda Kay in Studio B. Take it away.
Welcome to the PWR Event Center, brought to you by Gruber Law Offices. One call, that's all. WWE SmackDown returns to Milwaukee on February 25th, and tickets are on sale now at Ticketmaster.com. And starting next week, PWR has your hookup for free tickets, so be sure to tune in to win. Join the PWR team in a private suite at the Target Center and watch WWE Elimination Chamber in style. Tickets are available now at PWRshow.com. PWR and CSR are teaming up with Dynamic D to bring you the Royal Rumble kickoff party hosted by Big Sexy Kevin Nash. It's at Latitude 40 in Pittsburgh and will also serve as the official ROH after party following their big event that same night. Tickets and details are available now at PWRshow.com. That's it for this week's Event Center presented by Gruber Law Offices.
Pittsburgh, Pittsburgh, Pittsburgh. PWR is coming for a huge Royal Rumble kickoff party featuring Big Sexy Kevin Nash. That's right, the night before the WWE Royal Rumble in Pittsburgh, come to PWR's kickoff party featuring all kinds of shenanigans and Big Sexy Kevin Nash. Tickets available right now at PWRshow.com. PWRshow.com. The Royal Rumble kickoff party comes to Pittsburgh.
As you heard earlier in the PWR Event Center, WWE SmackDown is returning to Milwaukee for a huge TV taping on February 25th. PWR will again be giving away tickets to the event, and it all kicks off on the 2013 Wrestling Awards next week. Head over to our Facebook page right now and vote, and then tune in to the special episode on January 4th, where you will have the chance to win WWE SmackDown tickets.
I went on down to the Audubon Zoo, and they all asked for you. They all asked for you. Who? Well, they even inquired about you.
Welcome back,
Don't get all
ladies and
puffy
gentlemen.
on me all of a sudden here.
I told you, once I'm in the contest,
I guess.
you're going down. The Pro Wrestling Report, primetime Saturday night. Damian Nelson sitting alongside David Hero. Where's your holiday cheer? You're going to Poughkeepsie for New Year's. You should be in a dang good mood.
I'm in a great mood. But you're making fun of Santa and Jesus.
It's time, ladies and gentlemen, for this week's TV lows, the low points in television. Not just David Hero's words and behavior this week, but the low points of television.
I'm well behaved.
I get it, folks. I understand that it is Christmas. It's the holiday season. And WWE wanted to give us an episode of Glee. Not
Not
the show
that Glee.
but an episode of happiness.
Who would star in Glee if it was WWE produced?
I've never seen an episode of Glee.
Zack
because the show
Ryder,
scares me, actually.
The Miz. You think they'd be the two?
I've never seen it.
No.
Linda, do you watch Glee? Yes. She's over there literally with a look of shock on her face.
Big
in
smile on her
Studio B.
face talking about Glee. Mm-hmm.
Anyways, it was a Christmas special
Christmassy, yes.
edition of Raw. We talked about the I don't know.
They had a Christmas caroling
gift on a pole.
contest.
Santa versus Santa. Good Santa versus bad
What was
Santa.
cool?
12 divas.
You gotta love that.
Witch hunt something.
Witch hunt? Candy stripe
Look,
on a
it was
pole.
a fun show. Let me give you that. But doesn't WWE need to be doing a little less fun?
No, not now. It's expected.
You think
You know what
people
was
weren't
cool
watching?
though? What was cool is like for me on my TV when the Great Khali was singing his Christmas carols.
That was fun, actually.
I had the
That should have been a high.
SAP on my TV, so I could actually read along. I had no idea he was singing Little Drummer Boy. I had no clue.
Bum, bum.
It didn't come across that way.
It's a difficult week of programming for
Yeah,
WWE.
because people aren't watching. They
People
got
are
other stuff
watching,
to
I
do.
think,
They're
David Hero,
not.
but remember, it was all taped last week over the course of 4 days where they did 2 Raws, 2 SmackDowns, and main events, and Superstars, and whatever else they tape nowadays. So a difficult week of TV to program. Holidays fall on weird days this year, by the way, too, ladies and gentlemen. From
They
the
fall on
wrestling programming
weekdays. How is that
standpoint.
weird?
I'd like to tell you a little bit about my New Year's resolution, David
Oh,
Hero.
this should be great.
Okay, I've sat in this chair here next to you for more years than I care to count. Not because it's been a
3.
lot of them, but because
4?
It's like dog years working next to him. And I've made a resolution. I resolve to be more tolerant of your intolerance.
That's very nice of you.
You think that's going to work out for you?
I'd tell you mine, but I always give mine up for Lent, so it doesn't make a bit of difference.
That's this week's TV lows, ladies and gentlemen. And you know what? As we end out 2013, we here at the Pro Wrestling Report want to give you our heartfelt thanks for what can only be described as our best year ever, David Hero. The highlights are many. Back in February, it was the big Tales from the Ring event here in Milwaukee. Mean Gene Okerlund, Jim Ross, Jerry Lawler, first stage, first time ever. Hasn't
Only
happened
time
since.
ever.
And
You
hundreds
got to
of people.
host that show.
Sharing a stage with those men was absolutely fantastic.
Vodka was
But
flowing.
That wasn't all that we did. We did so much more, and we'll talk about some of the names later on. But you go from there to Kevin Nash joining us here in this very studio leading up to WrestleMania. And by the way, we're going to be doing something similar with some talent leading into WrestleMania in WrestleMania 30 next year rather. But the events, the moments, the times, going to New York and covering WrestleMania as no other pro wrestling broadcast can
Looking
do.
for the Ninja Turtles in New York City.
And such, and just having all around fun. You know, David, over 2 million views, over 2 million viewers of the Pro Wrestling Report in 2013 alone, taking it to well over the 13 million who have viewed us online only. That doesn't even count our television audience here in Milwaukee. We do this for all of you, ladies and gentlemen. In 2013, of you, the 2 million of you that watched, it was a year where we brought you several great events, huge events. We talked earlier about Jim Ross, Gene Okerlund, Mean Gene Okerlund, Jerry the King Lawler, Kevin Nash, Goldust, Robbie E, Shane Helms, Howard Finkel, Ron Simmons, so many more, David Hero.
King Kong Bundy and Demolition in New York City.
the Hall of Fame induction ceremony. Those DVDs available now at pwrshow.com for purchase. It's just been a great year. 2014 is already shaping up to be epic. And we want you to know that the only reason we sit here each week, the only reason I sit here and tolerate him each week and talk pro wrestling is for each and every one of you.
Tolerate me?
I tolerate you at best. Thank you. We look forward to your continued support in 2014, which, David Hero, I think I can say with such confidence.
Yes.
That 2014, the 014, will be the biggest year in the history of the Pro Wrestling Report.
I agree. So you better get a good liver cleanse going.
We already kick it off with the Royal Rumble kickoff party with Big Sexy Kevin Nash in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania on January 26th. Tickets available for that at pwrshow.com. And then the Elimination Chamber in Minneapolis. Pro Wrestling Report will be there covering that event live as well as the Royal Rumble. And not only will we be covering that event, but you can join us in a private suite at the Target Center. Join David Hero, myself, sit with us in the suite, watch Elimination Chamber at the Target Center, and then the big one, of course.
I'm not going to sit next to you.
WrestleMania 30 in New Orleans, Louisiana. Big Sexy Kevin Nash and Scott Hall. It's the Shenanigans World Order, Friday, April 4th in New Orleans as part of WrestleMania weekend, as part of the huge WrestleCon event. You want to be there. Tickets available for that as well at pwrshow.com. And then Sweet and Sexy WrestleMania. David Hero, we may end up at every WWE pay-per-view this year.
Like I said, you better get a liver cleanse. I know how this is going to end.
Again, our thanks for your continued support for the Pro Wrestling Report. And next week, we honor the best in the 2013 Wrestling
my show.
Awards. You've been voting all month long on Facebook, PWR Show on Facebook, and now we announce the winners and discuss your selections of those winners next week right here on the first episode of Pro Wrestling Report for 2014. So for the final time in 2013, and you know Poughkeepsie's a wild party, so you may not see him in 14. For that one, this is Damian Nelson saying farewell, so long, and be safe this holiday season.
Happy New Year.